Give me the
Just
goss. I want to hear it.
yeah, it's only trauma dumping when it's somebody that you didn't want to talk to anyways. But
Yeah,
like
that is so true.
get it out, like get it out. The belief that the world only wants a happy version of you is, think about the movies you love and the books you love and the stories and the
Yeah, they're the
songs that make
complex
you
characters.
yeah. So if I like, don't hide this part of you because you've been doing it since you were 6 years old. It's not gotten you anywhere.
Hmm.
And, but also like, people are eventually going to stop listening to you if what comes out of your mouth is just the good version. A lot of life coaches, aspiring life coaches, get stuck in this because they feel like they need to present to social media, I'm problem free.
Mm,
Don't come to me. And
I've
people,
solved it.
people don't want a life coach, or not. Or not even I've solved it. There's nothing to solve. Like, people, life is pain. Life is suffering. Life is difficult. You don't want somebody that's pitching you a non-difficult side of life. You want somebody that's willing to talk about, this is really messed up. You want to hear something really, you tell me if you think this is a good idea or not. But
Always.
I'm on my last bit for Wheels Reinvented before it goes to print, and the only other thing that I have to do is make the dedication. And I don't want
Hmm.
to dedicate it to my family because they're miserable that I'm writing the book, and I don't really want to dedicate it to my reader because I've dedicated 9 rounds of teaching this workshop to the reader. And I don't want to dedicate it to my husband because here's my trauma for you.
Yeah,
The only
yeah.
person that I really want to dedicate it to is this woman that I lived with really briefly while I was actually like assembling this workshop. And she told me, nobody cares about your trauma. And I really just want to dedicate my book to her and be like, thank you. It
Yeah.
might be the saltiest thing. It's definitely salty, but like, so many people will be told that like the world doesn't want to hear about this sad version of you.
100%. Yeah.
They
And it's not the
do.
case. I need to go and let my 7-year-old ask me a million questions and not be like, I can't take any more questions. I'm going to just let him roll.
But if that's your truth, it's okay to say, your kids are who you can be really authentic with.
True.
It's okay to be like, mommy feels like I gotta watch Frozen 2 times. Like I gotta sit up here for
Yeah.
a lot. It's okay. It's okay to not have space for that. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. Should we give people a practical guide for like how to find out if you're inauthentic?
I would love to.
Okay,
Please.
but you guys, this really gonna break your head. You guys are gonna want to
Okay.
quit. You're going to try for 21 days to not tell any lies. You're going to
Okay.
try for
None.
21 days, no lies, no white
Okay.
lies, no stories that aren't yours. Like, so not saying that something happened to you that didn't really happen to you. And you're not going to feel bad about yourself if you lie. But you're just going to be aware that there's this mechanism that's speaking on your behalf. And if you notice after about a week of this, you're going to notice like, dang, I do this a lot.
Yeah.
And once you have that experience, you'll be able to see like, what am I avoiding saying
Yeah.
here?
Why am I doing that so
And why
much?
is it not okay? Because the truth is always okay. It's going to come out eventually.
Yeah.
The truth is always okay. But by the second week, you'll be like, all right, so there's a choice that I'm making here. Tell the truth or lie about it. And by the third week, you're going to start to veer more towards telling the truth. You're going to realize that we've told ourselves for years, like, it's something wrong with me. It's something wrong with me. So people
Yeah.
can't handle my truth.
Yeah. I'll
But
protect
actually,
them from the real me.
yes, but after 3 weeks of this, doesn't take a lot, just a little awareness. You put it right lying on your fridge, and it'll come up. But you're going to start to see by the third week that this is much more of an expectation or an assumption that you have about humanity, that humanity is too stupid to handle you, that your kids are too stupid to handle you saying like, hey, guess what? I'm not perfect. I don't have infinite energy all of the time. And as much as I love talking about this right now, I need to like input something and not think about
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
right
You need to
now.
reload, mom.
Hmm. And you'll start to walk down a different street. The formula for becoming authentic is going to take time. I teach a workshop on this every single year called Fuckless. But basically, in order
It's a
to
great
become
name.
thank you. In order to become authentic, you're going to have to first know yourself. The first law of hermeticism, you have to know yourself, and then you have to trust yourself. And if you can know yourself and trust yourself, then you can be yourself and know that that's okay. But it's a journey, and I teach people how to take this journey objectively. It's gonna take 10 weeks, but step by step, we can objectively get you to know yourself, then objectively get you to trust yourself, and then objectively get yourself to be yourself. And we also teach this. We always teach magic and business together, so we teach this in conjunction with content strategy. So how to make
Hmm.
content that would make you never have to pay for ads again.
And when you went through that awful time of losing your fiance, and then you were kind of at that place where you said, I don't have the energy to be inauthentic anymore, did you find freedom in that, or was it a struggle?
So it was both and. It was both.
Okay.
It was both and. I was at a point where I didn't have the option of doing it differently. But I lost all of my friends. I lost all of my friends, and it wasn't their fault because for 14 years, for 11 years, they had known a version of me that wasn't true. And they really liked that old version of me. And for
Okay.
people that are becoming authentic, right when you're almost at the finish line, someone's going to come up for the woodwork and be like, I don't like this new you. I need you to go back to faking it because that version of you makes me feel more comfortable. Seeing you experience a drastic change is making me know that drastic change is possible. I don't like how that makes me feel. And it's nobody's fault. I remember my fiance's brother was my best friend. Losing him was almost more painful than losing my fiance because my fiance was dead. This was a person that was alive that was choosing to treat
Oh,
me
yes.
as dead. But he said to me the last time we ever spoke, he said, not everyone is looking for the meaning of life. And I really got it, and
Wow.
not and it's true, it's a fundamental truth. Not everyone is looking for the meaning of life. But now that was my whole life.
Yeah.
I had changed. He hadn't changed. There was nothing wrong with him. There was nothing wrong with him for saying, I just want my friend back. He was going through a big loss too. But I had changed. But the reason why, and I definitely felt crazy for a while, like everybody that I've known is telling me you're behaving erratically, unpredictably, this version of you, I don't know. I had lost all of these people that I had relied, and my friends were very important to me. There was one friend that was really like down for it, and she died a year after Brian died. She
I'm
killed
sorry
herself.
to hear that.
Thank you. But she so I lost everybody, but what kept me going continuously, this thing that I could always rely on, was that I could be closer to my Uber driver. I could be closer to the lady checking me out at the grocery store. I could be closer to literally anybody I met within freaking 5 minutes than I
Yeah.
had been in entire relationships with strangers. And that's because when you present yourself raw, when you present your Achilles heel, when you say, like, look, like, you could cut me right here and I'd bleed out and die right in front of you, you're also indicating to them, I could cut you right there.
Yeah.
And it's vulnerability invites vulnerability. It's so brave. But when you present your real self to people, they present their real self to you. And the small talk is over. And it's like, it's so beautiful because, like, especially when you're talking about something sad, when you're
Yeah.
saying, like, it's cool to be dark with me, it's like in this moment, you two are like you're closer than lovers. It's like you and this random person united by grief in this moment are closer than two lovers could even be. It's like the to me, the highest form of art. And so many people want to go out and be in the world and be like, I just want to show people what love is. To love is to lose. To
Mm.
love is when you love somebody, you're taking this enormous risk because you know that the more you love them, the more it hurts that you could
Yeah.
lose them. You have kids and you're like, oh my gosh, I love my kids so much.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what if I would die? I would be dead. It's that's so few people can tell you what it feels like to love, but everyone in the world can tell you what it's like to be sad. And these moments where you have space where you can like listen to somebody
Share
trauma
that.
dump, yeah,
Yeah.
and not be scared of it.
Mhm.
I was closer to any stranger than I had been to anyone in my family and anyone in my friend circle. And that's so it was very hard, but it was incredibly freeing as well.
Do you think that authenticity goes hand in hand with sobriety, or do you think that authenticity can be achieved with or without it?
Oh, absolutely not. I think now a lot of people hide behind alcohol because they don't feel comfortable showing their real self. And then
Okay.
the drunker they get, the more their real self kind of comes out, and they either Dutch courage, they start to rely on it to be, something that removes their inhibitions.
Yeah.
And some people can drink and some people can't. I've been sober for 7 years. I'm one of those people that can't. And I thought for a long time that alcohol made me confident, but actually it made me super insecure.
Wow.
I would be very like, ooh. I would really like turn on when I was drunk. But there are no like you can have a wonderful life and still be an alcoholic. There's no rules. What works for some people won't work for other people. But on that note, that means that you have to be really good about knowing what does and doesn't work for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But some people, I'm trying to think of somebody really authentic I know that basically anybody that's on. I think the Kardashians are a good example of being authentic. I know that a lot of people don't agree with this because of, how their aesthetic choices. But to be Kim Kardashian, especially, to be online as much as she is, to
Yeah.
have cameras on you that much.
Yes. Yeah.
You can't, people that are not authentic will never consent to going on long form podcasts
No.
or reality TV because
They
they'll
need
be
a
really,
script. They need to be prepared. Yeah.
yes, they'll be super paranoid that the real them will come out. And I've seen Kim Kardashian share in her own way plenty of really vulnerable things, plenty of things where people say, oh my God, you're the worst mom. Think about Kris Kardashian talking about being so drunk that 15-year-old Khloe Kardashian has to drive her home and on
Oh,
the
literally
freeway.
sent all their kids to the Diddy parties at like in their teens.
And she's laughing about it. Now
Yeah.
you can agree with her choices, you cannot agree with her choices, or you could just not give a shit what anybody chooses for their own life. But she's at peace. She allows her bad side to hang out. All of it? No, neither, like shit. How do you know when somebody's bad side is done showing? But I think that they're a really good example and they love to party. I think I'm going to use Kris Jenner
Okay.
as the example for that. Loves to drink, loves to party,
Yeah.
lets it all hang out, is not ashamed of herself. And I feel like I feel like Kris Kardashian would be the first person to tell you that she puts her kids first. She doesn't care how they spin the narrative. And she drinks her face off. So does that
Yeah.
whole family.
Yeah. That's so true. So true. One thing that you have said a couple of times in your videos, and I think it really resonated with me, I think it resonated with me in the way of breaking a thought pattern and finding freedom from a thought pattern. And that was, now I might butcher it, but the easiest thing to bear is the suffering of others.
This is one that's really hard for people. And I remember the first time I heard this was from studying the fourth way, which is one of the main lineages that I teach. And I'm always trying to make it easier for people to understand. I'm even writing an erotic fiction book about being seduced by the guru. That is a way I if this is I remember what you asked me, but I've always said that like I love hot guy school. Like if I really needed to learn something complicated, I'd try and find a hot guy to teach me because I'd be like,
Love that
tell
method.
me, tell me more. And the fourth way is so complicated to understand, so much gatekeeping, so much just sticks up asses. But I was like, I'm going to make this like a sex magic manual taught by this teacher that has everything in the brain, but like isn't necessarily attractive. And I'm just going to write a very like sexual story about being taken on this like crazy ride, but in these like post coital pillow talk, getting some huge lesson about like the fundamental laws of the universe.
Yeah.
And so the complete, oh, it's going to piss off the fourth wave people so much. But I love when I first came across the fourth wave is riddled with statements like this. Nothing is easier to bear than the suffering of others. And when I first read that, I was like, I need to read this like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Basically, anything that's ever talking about codependency, when I first read it, I'm like, this has to be wrong. There's got to be a misprint here somewhere. So I put it on my wall and I put it on the background of my phone and I contemplated until I'm like, oh my God, is this true? The suffering of others is not something that's happening to you. This is
Yes.
not a sign that you're empathetic. This is not a sign that you just feel things. You are taking someone else's suffering and you're making it about you, which, yes, is having an impact on you. If I
Yeah.
watch 7 miscarriage videos on TikTok and I say, oh my God, is this a sign that I'm going to have a miscarriage? I've created this, what they call identifying in advanced
Okay.
spiritual work across all different paths. This concept of identifying. It's not what you're doing, it's the identifying with it. Like, you can smoke weed and it can just be smoking weed, or you can say, I'm a pothead. And now it's your
Yeah.
identity. And now you're
Yeah.
defending it. And now it's like this whole thing. Um, but I'm looking at 7 miscarriage videos and I'm making it about me. I'm taking 7 other people's horrible, tragic stories and say, this is a premonition about what's going to happen to my life. And this is wearing me down. And now I have anxiety. And this social media is so hard for me to bear. And how can we even live in a world where something like this happens?
That
This has to
exactly.
be an oversight on God's part. And it turns into this whole thing because you have gotten it into your head that because it's happening to someone else, it's happening to you.
Yeah.
And then you're layering on top of this, saying that this is somehow your spirituality. Oh, it's because we're all connected. It's because I'm an empath.
Mm-mm.
No, this is you spending way too much time on your phone and starting
Yes.
to believe that that person's life is your life. So, what does it look like to not do this? What does it look like to have your eyes fully open, aware that horrible tragedies are existing in the world while honoring the privileges that have you living your life? What is a life where we're just observing? This is happening. This is happening to them. This is happening to me. And I can have, this is what compassion is. There's sympathy. Oh my God, why is this happening to you? There's empathy. Oh my God, why is this happening to us? And it's not actually happening to us just because you
Yeah.
watched it. It's
Yeah.
not happening to us or us as a humanity. Like, no, you've got a lot of problems that you should be focusing on.
Yeah.
But then there's compassion. And compassion is that taste of like when your child is learning how to walk and they walk and they plop and they walk and they
Yeah.
plop and they stumble and so bad, especially if it's your first kid, you're like, let me create a padded world for you to not
Literally.
fall in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that feeling you get when you're like, I understand that this is how you learn. And just because I would be mortified to be falling on my ass over and over again doesn't mean you're mortified to be falling on your ass over and over again.
Wow. That's such a good perspective.
Nor should I try and prevent this from happening for you because this is how you're learning and this is how you're growing. And this is what like the divine or the absolute or God, like it, if you think that God's laughing at you when you fuck up, you dumbass, you did it again. You didn't do a core values exercise with your husband. Like God's never doing that. This is how we learn. This is how we grow. This is how humanity learns and grows. And it is this is what the Tibetan Buddhists that like live off in the monks, this is what they contemplate over and over and live to be like 140 years old, is compassion. Compassion is the ability to be totally aware of suffering and send love to that suffering without feeling drained by it, without identifying it or confusing it as being something that's happening to you. It's not oblivion. I'm always aware of what's going
Yeah,
on in Palestine. I'm always aware of what's going on, but I'm not confusing what's going on with them with what's going on with me. And I'm not making
exactly.
a
Yeah.
bigger story. So, this concept that nothing in the world is easier to bear than the suffering of others, it's a very strict wake up call. Stop
Yeah.
sitting around in malaise being like, oh, just a world where we live like this. You don't live in that world.
Yeah.
You don't. You're sitting in your room in the dark, looking at your phone and getting winded by it. You're not doing anything. This is not hard on you.
No, it's not.
This
Yeah.
is the absolute pinnacle of privilege, is to be so winded and exasperated and emotionally labored by something that has never happened to you. And you're colonizing somebody else's suffering. You're saying, ooh, all of that good food for me. I'm going to pitch my tent right in the middle of it and be like, this is my problem now. That is
No. Yeah.
not how that
That is
works.
so, I see that so much with friends and family, with, like you said, Palestine and stuff like that, and they'll almost put their own lives on pause because, well, or with the election, well, everything's just fucked now. So look, what can I do? And it's like, you can live your life. You can go on. That's not
Mm-hmm.
your issue.
Mm-hmm. I just watched Yellowstone last night. And the lady said a really good line in it, because somebody, no spoilers here, but she says that, like, you can either sit around blaming yourself or sit around feeling sorry for yourself, and their sacrifice will have been completely squandered, or you can recognize that other people are sacrificing when you're not, and you can do something with your life. There's nobody in Palestine that wants you in bed crying about them. They want you to, if
No.
you're, and whatever it is that you're, people that do humanitarian aid, even veterinarians, there is a concept for people that are early on in this. It's called like compassion fatigue. It wouldn't be compassion fatigue. It'd be empathy fatigue or sympathy fatigue. Compassion does not fatigue. But people that choose to actually do like relief efforts as their life have a very sustainable relationship with suffering, where they understand that, like, in order, you need to be very strong to make big change happen, and you need to be looking in the right directions, and you cannot allow yourself to take other people's lives personally if you are here to actually change things. So a lot of people will tell you, like, no, I need to put my life on pause for it. You're How could you not? This is irresponsible of you.
Mm,
If you are one of these people that really feels like change needs to happen, then put your goddamn phone down, get out of bed, stand up straight, figure out what the first step is for you, and go start creating change. But reposting is not creating change. People say, oh, this is a little change that I can make. No, no, no,
no.
no, no. Do something real.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. That's so inspiring. I love that. It's inspiring in a way that isn't the classic, like, oh, well done, like you said, that like platitude of sharing the post. Who are you helping with sharing the post? Either help or don't. Help or help yourself. You got
Yeah,
to
but
move up and move
people
on.
people want to do what's easy. People
Yeah.
want to do what's easy. It's really easy to be outraged. It's really easy to sweep up this new identity as like a social justice warrior, and to delude yourself into thinking that, like, this is actually helping people. It's not.
Mhm.
Look at the statistics. Has it helped? No, it's gone
No.
bad to worse
No.
and worse and worse and worse. Meanwhile, you're going bad to worse and worse and worse. So what are you going to do about it? It's going to take you 10 years to start to inspire some actual change. 10 years from when you begin. You're probably going to need money. You're going to need to fix up, look sharp. You're going to need to be able to be in the right rooms with the right people. You're going to have to learn how to present your cause, and you're going to have to learn how to not be so freaking exhausted that you can't get out of bed. You have to watch 8 hours more of Love Island because you watched 2 hours of TikTok.
Yeah.
That's not strength. And
No.
that's not helping. And no one in Palestine is like, thank
Thank
you.
God. Yeah,
You
no, not
saved
at all.
us. You're colonizing their suffering. And
Wow.
that is gross.
It is. It is. I love that, colonizing their suffering. That is exactly what it is.
I need to make a TikTok about that, because I haven't had to use those
100%.
words.
Hey everyone, Chelsea here. I would love to take a moment to introduce you to our app, Yoga Plus. You will gain access to an incredible collection of videos led by top instructors in yoga, fitness, nutrition, and so much more. Download our Yoga Plus app today and get a free 14-day trial.